Hello, this is Noodle Soup, and we'll be going over the function of rooms. When you see a game made with GameMaker, you see these large sections of the game. All of this is just encased in a room. The creation of all your sprites, all your objects, etc., they're all created and initiated here. It's basically what is shown when you press play, which we could actually do right now. Press play, and shows nothing, but this is your room. With this in mind, when you click on the room tab, which is down here, you see that there's many different features that this room provides. First of all, we got the width and height, which we are going to change to 512 by 288. And we changed it to this because it has a nice 16 by 9 view, while also being able to nicely showcase 64 by 64 sprites. Now the next feature are viewports and cameras. Click on it, enable viewports, go to viewport 0, and click on visible. Now the first thing you will notice is that this white square actually showcases how much you actually see in the game. And we do notice that it's actually way bigger than the actual room. Let's change that to the room size, which is 512 by 288. And then we got the viewports. Now cameras and viewports are very distinctly different, and I'll try to explain them as simple as I can. Basically, you have a camera property and a viewport property. And notice when I change the, let's say the width of the camera for example, the space that it can see actually increases in size. But when we change the viewport property to, let's say, double of the width, nothing really changes. And that is because cameras change how much of the game you can see, while viewports change how big the tab is for your screen. So let's just go ahead and change the height to double. Let's change the height of the viewport to double the height of the camera. And when we press play, we should see that looks about the same, except maybe a little bit smaller. Now, if we change the camera, for example, like let's go 400, we notice that the size of the tab is pretty much the same, except that now it actually sees less of the room. I can actually demonstrate the change of this camera by putting something inside this room. So, another thing that rooms have are layers, and layers are just exactly what you think they are. You can add a layer, like an asset for example, and in this layer you could drop your sprites in here. So I literally just dragged my tank sprite into here, and now it's in here. And when we press play, he's in there. But what if I were to go back to my room and change the width of the viewport by, I don't know, like 500? What would happen? Now we notice that the tab is actually visually smaller and actually more squished. So we don't want that. We're gonna have to change it back to its original size, 1024, which is a perfect double to 512, and now it looks normal. Now what happens if I change the camera to, let's say, 400 and put them like about right at the edge? Now we notice that the tab stays the same length, but now you actually see less of the room because he's cut off. And that's basically what cameras and viewports are. In summary, camera property changes how much of the game you can see, while viewport property changes how big the tab will be. So now that you know how to change the camera, let's just talk about the layers a little bit. You can't put objects inside the assets layer, and you can't put assets inside the instances layer. There's very different layers, and each of them has very specific things that you can put in them. I cannot drag a sprite into this layer because it wants me to create an asset layer. So that's just a little thing to know. So all in all, that's basically what a room is. It's where all your thing is hosted, and when you press play, it is what you see. And for early developers, this approach of having a viewport and setting it through here is perfectly fine, but as your game progresses and it gets bigger, you might want to stray away from using GameMaker's room functions here and actually create your own camera. But that's for the expert or the intermediate series. And that's basically it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and the next steps are to create the objects.